So Naren, you have rich experience both in the armed forces and now in the corporate world. I have a rapid fire round where I'm going to shoot off a few questions, in fact, 10 questions, and try and understand the other perspective of Naren. What is so passionate about HR?
See, Ranjan, I feel that, HR helps in liberating people potential to purpose actually. So I think that's the most passionate part of HR.
What is the turning point in your life as an HR leader?
So see, when I started my HR journey 21 years back, I was in a factory, and this factory, actually it was 3 plants. HR was common, but all functions were separate. And there was a German plant. It was a 100% export-oriented unit with 12 Germans, including the plant manager. So I used to go there I had only window between 12 and 12:30 in the day. Otherwise, you cannot go to that plant.
Oh.
And, I used to be quite, because it's Germanic, so you need to be, prim and proper and all. And I saw a boy there, 2 continuous days he looked at me. I said hi, he said hi, I met him, I went. The 3rd day, he actually came to meet me in my main office. And unfortunately, we had a merger acquisition meeting, so he waited and he left. Something told me, there's something wrong here. And 1 day later, this guy committed suicide. So my biggest learning in HR is that, these signs are there. You see that, but you are so busy. You want to conclude, the business partners meetings. You want to make sure that all the faxes go in time to Germany, New Delhi, etc. The person didn't come to you. You can always take heart in saying, okay, he didn't come to you, but you could have gone to him.
Right.
So I think HR people have to step out of the boundary, and they cannot be only, meeting deadlines and ticking boxes. So this was my biggest turning point. And after that, whatever be the situation, if I send something, I put a stop to everything else, and then I spend time, unless I am sure, unless I unravel it to my satisfaction. And maybe that is why, the management in Voltas has given me safety, although I am not qualified in safety. So there's something which HR people have to do, which is beyond the normal.
Right.
So that's, I think, my biggest learning actually.
So sensing, very, very true, Naren. One innovation in HR that you cherished?
So for me personally, digitalization is something which I cherish. And the recent example is Voltas. We were a brick and mortar company. We digitalized HR exactly 2 months before the COVID.
Okay.
Including, all our offices have got, Cisco systems. We had already Google Calendars. We had Microsoft Teams. Everything was done before the COVID. So digitalization for me, I think, is something which really I cherish.
So what are the 3 key challenges you think is there before HR currently?
Yeah, I think, Ranjan, the last 2 years has been stressful for everybody in the world. I say everybody, it has not left anybody. It has especially been stressful for businesses, because most of the businesses other than IT, finance, insurance, most of the businesses will be back at 2019, 2020 level, actually. So right now, I think the balance between business and human needs, this is most important. Business has to go on. At the same time, we need to protect lives. We need to make sure that all our people come back hale and hearty to the work. This is a major challenge, and this is really an HR challenge, because during these times, COVID was not there in anybody's JD. So invariably, it is HR which has taken the lead in this.
Right.
So I think this is number 1 challenge. Number 2 challenge is, already there was a big move for digitalization, robotization, miniaturization, automation, and so many other things like machine learning, use of artificial intelligence. So this is no longer a jargon. In the last 2 years, this has already started happening.
Right.
So, productivity, identifying who can make the cut, who can't, preparing those people, making sure that they make the transition and take advantage of the situation. Otherwise, there will be a large chunk of people who may just end up being, on the bench. So I think that's another big challenge. The third challenge is, the overall environment has become hyper competitive because business pressure is there. On the other side, people pressure is there. So many, rules, regulations, they keep changing. In this situation, how do we help employees and their families? Because for the first time in the life, many practicing professionals are actually in their house. I don't think they know also that on a working day, what actually happens in their house. And we have found that, this has been very, very stressful for employees, companies, and the families. Just to give you an example, we have a mental stress helpline. The traffic has gone up thrice during this COVID. So this is a reality. HR people themselves are under pressure. They themselves are stretching themselves. But how will we come together and help the employees, in this situation? So this, I think, are the key challenges right now.
HR as a business partner or an employee champion?
So I think this is something, Ranjan, we have been hearing and grappling. I think you and me may be grappling for more than 3 decades. Frankly, as a HR practitioner, I don't see the difference actually. Because what is good for business is good for people. What is good for people is good for business. What is good for both is good for society and the nation. So I think, this is something which HR people, their job is to find what is that sweet spot, which is good for business, good for employee, good for society. And that sweet spot will not remain constant. It will keep moving. HR people's job is to identify that and make sure that all stakeholders are on that.
Right.
That's this what I feel.
So HR decisions should be based on gut feeling or data?
So I alluded to this, during my, talk before also. See, to my mind, data is king. And data is 2 types. One is the post and one is the future. HR usually spends a lot of time in the past.
Right.
But, HR matrices, data analytics, predictive analytics, so many tools are available today which actually give you a peek into the future. If you see Voltas' response to COVID, we had casualties, but we had very less casualties compared to other companies. We actually use predictive modeling through some expert to get all the inputs from government, Medical Council of India, ICMR, and then see what we should do as a strategy. So I think that 80% of HR work is data. In that, maybe 30-40% is past data because all systems. More and more predictive data analytics is required. And 20% is gut. Gut is not gut. Gut is basically a subconscious decision which is based on practices, what is embedded in you, your muscle memory, and this data input which comes actually. So it's not just a flash in the pan.
Right. Do you think, do you see digital transformation and automation as a threat or as an opportunity, especially for the HR folks?
So I think this is again something, which at least we have seen for the last 3 decades now. I think from HR point of view, it is a boon. If you are able to embrace digital transformation. So unfortunately, initial part of digital transformation, HR was not a priority. If you remember, it all started with finance and then it went into manufacturing, products, etc. HR is now coming to fore, and thankfully by HR professionals themselves. I feel it is a great opportunity because this will allow us to do partnering in the true sense, and it will not be just doing some nice to have, good to have kind of initiatives. So I think it's very good opportunity for us.
Your HR guru or role model you look up to?
So I don't know whether this is the right answer, but for me it is President Kalam. I look up to President Kalam, and just a small anecdote. I got an opportunity to meet him physically. He was the defense advisor to Government of India, and he had come to see Arjun tanks in the deserts. And I was lucky because I was doing a stint with mechanized infantry. So I was sent for his protection on tracked vehicles. So usually these, such kind of people will not find time for some junior officer with a, protection detail. But he actually stopped me. And he checked with me the complete equipment details. He checked with me all details of my people, which regiment, what you are doing, everything. So I've been following his work, right when he was in the DRDO, the kind of initiatives he took. If you see, he was the product of times where we did not have access to international technology. Yet, he motivated a whole generation. In fact, 3 generations of scientists in the defense field are motivated by Dr. Kalam. Right. And he has built 3 layers of leadership. Even the current crop of leaders in these departments are people whom he nurtured and hired. So I think for me, he is a great HR person to emulate.
Absolutely. If you are not an HR professional, what would you have done?
So I would have been back in the army, I think.
That's an interesting one. Many people have been predicting or saying that the end of HR is in the vicinity. So do you think HR is dead or long live HR?
Yeah, so I think, Ranjan, we have been hearing this now from 30 years. HR started its career from the gate for compliances. I think HR is not only alive and kicking. Actually, HR is taken now the, kind of onus of really driving change. So it is not change in terms of human behavior. It is change in terms of organizations. And the best example is the last 2 years.
Right.
If you talk to any HR colleague before 2 years, before the last 2 years and now, you will find a marked difference. So I think, HR as a function and as a practice, especially where things are gray and there is ambiguity, the importance will only increase. But we will have to continuously reinvent ourselves.
Right, absolutely. Reimagine and reinvent ourselves. So the last question, Naren. If you had to take the only selfie, whom would you take a selfie with?
So I just told you, actually, I didn't have a camera when I met Kalam. I would have taken, and it was a secret location, so I couldn't take.
Very, very interesting, Naren, and thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and look forward to having you again on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ranjan. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.